Greetings Earthlings, and welcome back to another reaction video with your girl Secret Files. I hope that you're enjoying it here, and if you are, make sure that you're subscribed and leave an alien emoji so you're entered to win the next giveaway. Alright, let's get into these videos.
Alright guys, I'm 44 years old. Never in my life when I grew up did I hear about a upside down smiley face crescent moon. We always learned about a side facing crescent moon. Kids never grew a upside down smiley face for their moon. What is going on here? When did this start happening?
Another song written by the devil? Watch this.
I used to rule the world. Seas would rise when I gave the
Next part is how he explains how he became a loser.
one minute I held the key. Next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you've gone, it was never alone. This world, that was when I ruled the world.
You're glad Jesus defeated Satan? Subscribe or follow.
Am I the only one that thought that these were only in like the classic songs? But now they're like in every song. I feel like every song nowadays has some kind of deeper meaning to it. What do you guys think? Let me know.
Although most black-eyed kid stories revolve around children, not this one. Harry was a charming but level-headed truck driver. While visiting a casino/truck stop, he struck up a conversation with a very pretty Native American woman serving him drinks. As the evening went on, their conversation got friendlier. She told him that her shift ended in a few hours and she would love to meet him out in the parking lot for a few drinks after her shift. Harry was delighted at even the thought of meeting up with her in the parking lot after her shift, so he quickly agreed. After buying a six-pack of beer, he moved his truck as close to the front door as he possibly could and waited. Around the time she was supposed to get off of work, he noticed employees coming out the back door, so he moved his truck around to the back. People kept coming out of the back door like they were getting off of work, but he didn't see her. He did encounter a much older Hispanic woman who claimed to know him, even calling him by name, but he did not recognize her. But she told him that they talked earlier and she was supposed to meet him in the parking lot. Harry didn't know what to make of her behavior, and he noticed that she wasn't carrying keys or a purse, which puzzled him. She seemed as if she was getting off work, but he didn't remember ever seeing her there or anywhere. He told her he didn't know her, he didn't want to know her, she was making him very uncomfortable. He quickly ran back to his truck trying to shake off that creepy feeling he had. He decided to change into his sleeping clothes and call it a night with a book he'd been wanting to read. It seemed his much-awaited rendezvous with this beautiful Native American woman was not meant to be. Just as he settled in, there was a loud banging on the door of his truck. Harry described the banging as if someone was trying to pound on his door to wake him up because his truck was on fire. He quickly opened the curtains and rolled down his window to see this beautiful woman he had been waiting all night to see. But something seemed off about her appearance. She looked troubled, she was silent, and her movements were rigid, almost robotic. As her eyes met Harry's, he realized that they were completely black. It was as if her entire eyeballs were made of a shiny black material. Startled, he turned on the lights of his truck, certain his eyes were deceiving him. Her eyes, which had been the most beautiful shade of brown earlier that night, were still black, and the blackness seemed to extend around her eyes as well. He said it was a blackness that seemed to suck all light into it. That discovery was upsetting enough, but wasn't the thing that scared Harry the most. What was most disturbing was the way his hand reached for the door handle to let her in. Despite the fact that he was terrified by her appearance and had no intention of letting her in, it took all his willpower to keep himself from opening that door. Very weakly he choked out, "No!" He could barely even speak. She didn't say a word, nor did she say anything the entire time she was standing there. Harry rushed back to his driver's seat and roared his truck back to life and pulled away. What he saw that night, however, would haunt him for the rest of his life. Not to mention he avoided that truck stop for the rest of his career. I guess you truck drivers have more than blizzards to worry about in those truck stops.
We need to talk. A woman named Laura Aboli, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, made a speech at a conference. It's the 2023 Better Way Conference. I had never heard of it, but I seen this circulating through TikTok, and it was very interesting. I will show you the clip. I did show it a couple days ago, but it didn't get much traction. But I'll try again. I think everybody needs to listen to what she says. I think she puts it in terms that are perfectly explained, breaks everything down for anybody that's confused, says it way better than I could ever describe it. And listen really closely, because this is where we're at.
Make no mistake, the final goal is to eradicate humanity as we know it. Once you understand the final destination, it becomes much easier to look back and identify the psychological conditioning, the biological tampering, the cultural grooming, and the educational prepping that we have been subjected to for decades in preparation to making us accept a post-human future. It takes a lot of physical and psychological abuse to get an intelligent species like ours to agree to its own extinction. Most, if not all, that has transcended in the last 60 years was designed to get us closer to accepting such a dystopian reality. Whether you care to accept it or not, we live in a hyper-controlled matrix where our perception of reality is meticulously planned, managed, and executed in order to control and steer us in whichever direction they wish. And the direction is a post-human world.
Why did these people hijack these buildings? Why did they take them over and turn them into a World Fair and then make it into a reset? And also, too, like when you get into this and you start looking at all these other pictures, which I'll show you guys as well, too, because we're going through. Here's another one that was a temporary building that they said. Here's a temporary building. I mean, look at that detail. I mean, look at the top of the spires. And this is all stone. And this is all quartz. And this is all granite. And somebody said, are those buildings in the photos still standing? No, they actually demolished all of them because they said that they were temporary, which is interesting. They also said that they demolished them because they were too much to upkeep. I mean, this looks like it could last through a hurricane, a tornado, a tsunami, I mean, anything you can think of. And then you sit there and think they destroyed them because they were too much to upkeep? You know, how does that make any sense? And what's also interesting is there were all these things inside the buildings of the exhibits and all the materials and everything put inside there. And also the people. The people look really out of place because you got dirt roads. You got these dirt roads, and then you got these huge buildings that are just absolutely massive. I mean, just the level of detail is just absolutely remarkable. You know, and we build stuff in like squares. I mean, look at this right here. You got a little square, you got some wood. This might not even be wood, it could be fake wood. And then that's pretty much it. That's kind of what we do nowadays. But back then, they were building a transportation building. The golden door of transportation, right there. You guys can see that. I mean, look at the arches there too, engraved into each other. Think of the time it would take to build all of this as well. Because think of like construction. Think if you had, even if you had 1 million people working at the same time, you would need so many people to build at the same time, and they would have to be perfect building. You can't slip up. You cannot mess up at all. Like if this little arch right here gets messed up, the whole rest of the thing gets messed up. And this is all out of stone, not plaster, not wood, not some paper mache like we used to do in class. If you guys remember back in the day in school, used to do paper mache. You know, this is all out of stone. And you know, you sit there and go, these are some interesting things.
So you guys asked for it. Here they are. The 3D glasses just came in, and I'm going to cut them up, put them on my iPhone, and see if we can see UFOs. Now, if you're seeing this video for the first time, let me let you know, on my page, I've got a video that went viral, and so far it's got 1.2 million views, and it was an interview done where a guy actually took the 3D glasses like this. They took the red and the blue together, and they used some sort of way to put on a phone filter, and whenever they showed the sky, it actually showed, or it revealed something that you cannot see with the natural eye. So you know, the same way that lasers work, or your camera picks up infrared imaging and things like that, supposedly there's some sort of screen blocking people from seeing UFOs. So if you want to see me do the test, they just came into the mail. I'm going to give it a try. Do you think that aliens exist? Comment below and let me know what you think. Also, let me know when I should do this experiment. If nobody comments below, then I'm not going to post it. But let me know what you guys think. Meta Cowboy here, giving you what you want. And yes, 3D glasses just skyrocketed. If I would have been smart, I would have sold them on my page. That's a great idea.
I want to know, like, have you guys seen that video or like the videos of people taking the screens off of like their LED TVs and stuff? I wonder if it would do the same thing.
Why are there pyramids all over the world? They must have known something about pyramids that the rest of us haven't caught on yet. In the Great Pyramid in Egypt, King's Chamber and the Queen's Chamber, two of those chambers are made with the hardest rock, glass smooth. How did they move these 1,000-ton? We would have a hard time moving them with our modern equipment. There were civilizations that were here and built things that we can't do today. But we like to think, since we're Johnny-come-lately, we're the smartest in the universe. We don't know much about those civilizations that have wiped themselves out with their high technology.
Did somebody have a heart attack at the wheel?
For the past couple of weeks, there have been several videos of ships crashing into places, just like you see in the movie Leave the World Behind. But I guess that one of the creepiest and strangest videos of all is this one that I'm going to show you guys right now. Check this out.
Oh, they're gonna go right over them, dude. They're down. They're down. Hey!
Strange, right? There are divers down there. They can't get out of there. And, well, it's strange enough, but it gets even stranger.
Dude, there's nobody in there. There's nobody on deck. There's nobody in the wheelhouse.
It's a ghost ship.
Oh my god. We have divers right there. They just ran them over.
Divers are safe. But even so, what the heck?
Those are our divers. Dive flags up.
When I first saw this, I thought it said Jenny. What about you? Did you see that too?
Hunting parties, where children were allowed to run in the forest and then hunted.
Alright guys, I kid you fucking not. A few years ago, I read this book, right? This book is just a series of horror stories from like famous authors. The clip that I just watched talks about how the elites are basically child trafficking, human trafficking, taking them to these islands and letting them run and hunting them and killing them and eating them and shit, blah 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 blah. In that video they call it the most dangerous game. When I started the chapter in this book, this guy is on a yacht with his friend and they're going hunting. They're both like big league hunters. Then they're talking about this island that they're passing. This island has this guy on it, very rich guy. He enjoys hunting as well. So everybody on the yacht went to sleep. This one guy stayed up and he was hearing these pistol shots in the distance. He goes over to the side, leans out too far, falls in the water. Yacht disappears into the distance, so he starts swimming towards the pistol shots. He's saying he heard an animal scream, but he didn't know what this animal was. He'd never recalled it. It's a fucking human. The guy who owned the island went on to say that he had lost all interest in hunting other animals. He had hunted every animal that you could. Then he's saying he had to create a new animal to hunt. The guy who crashed on the island is like, okay, well, what fucking animal? It must have courage, cunning, and above all, it must be able to reason. But no animal can reason. My dear fellow, there is one that can, but you can't mean, and why not? I can't believe you're serious. This is grisly, a joke. Hunting, good God, what you speak of is murder. Then he's talking about this one guy who almost won the game, who had hid the whole night, blah blah blah, he'd almost made it, right? Then he said, but the dogs got him. In that video, they talk about there being packs of Doberman that they would use. I believe that the government is just telling y'all the truth, and literally books, movies, right in front of you, just in your face, and nobody's taking it seriously. They all label it as fiction, It is not fucking fiction. This is happening. Just amazes me that most of this country is fucking brainwashed. I just read this out of a book that was published, this book was published September 25th in 2012. 2012. It's where we all somehow decided collectively that the world had ended. 2022, and we're finding the events that are happening in random ass books. What I'm figuring is this has probably been going on a lot longer than we've expected, and we're just now noticing. Get fucking real. Do your research. Look into things. Be curious. Have your own fucking opinions. Also, watch the rest of that video, because that shit, I just heard that, and then remember this, and if you watch that first, this video is gonna make so much more fucking sense.
I'm pretty sure I read this book too, or like a book just like this, but it was about adults.
There is a record of technologies that existed on Earth, of civilization more advanced than we are now. And the question is, were there some use of some type of electrogravitic levitation technologies that were used? The other problem is, even when the Smithsonian paid $5 million to simulate using mathematics and the technology that archaeologists say existed back in the time of the pyramids, those obelisks, like the Washington Monument, but those are all one big piece of stone, they couldn't raise the smallest one with everything we know now about mathematics and engineering with what's been postulated. So there's something doesn't add up there. But I think it's a bridge too far to claim they were built by ETs. But they were certainly, their construction and the precision of the stones cut, how far they were moved, how they were put into place. There are a lot of questions I have, but I have no proof of how that might have happened, except the man I referred to earlier from Redstone Arsenal area, who is given material occasionally, is not always extraterrestrial. He has been given objects that are tens of thousands of years old or older, that are technological, that have been found in the ocean and elsewhere, that were of human origin and were extremely advanced technologies. So I believe that it's likely that on Earth, prior to the modern era, there have been civilizations far advanced beyond where we are, that for which we have very little record. And when that record is found, I think it's kind of swept under the carpet. You know, it's interesting. There were years ago when they did the Mars images, and they found that there were these obelisks and strange-looking objects on Mars. I went out to the Goddard Space Flight Center here outside D.C. to meet with Mark Carlotto and some other scientists there, and they said, yep, it's been pixelated out for the public, but there are structures there. And they were very ancient, but we're talking millions of years old, millions. And I was out in California after I had disclosed this to some people, and a man came up to me from JPL, Jet Propulsion Labs, and I didn't know him. He knew who I was and said, Dr. Greer, here's the issue. You're right, those exist, but we can't disclose that. I said, why? It's not an operational ET device. It's not, it's old. He says, yes, but you don't understand how powerful this information is. I said, why? He says, if this was disclosed, it would collapse the fundamentalist orthodox belief systems of every religion on Earth.
You don't know who this man is. His name is Eric Hecker, and he's a whistleblower who supposedly worked as a contractor in Antarctica in 2010 to 2011. And he's made some wild claims as to what's really going on in Antarctica.
You were in the South Pole from 2010 to 2011. Let's talk about what you were doing down there.
You got it.
What were you doing down there?
I was contracted for the summer season as a plumber. I did well enough in my summer season to garner a winter contract as well, which got me my full year's stay. I was also tasked with being a firefighter. I was a lead on the firefighting team, and because of that dual role capacity, I physically held a key that opened every single door in the facility. I had complete access to every compartment they manufactured.
Now, one thing that's really strange to me is if he was there as a plumber and a firefighter, why in the world would they give him full access to a facility that would probably require the highest security clearance to even enter the building? But let's continue the video.
What are you blowing the whistle on?
That there are technologies at the South Pole Station that people can't even consider that exist on this planet.
Like what?
Directed energy weapon systems is something that people need to get in their vocabulary fast. The ice cube neutrino detector is not simply a passive listening device as presented for the science that they're claiming it to do. It also has the capacity to transmit. There are embedded in the ice what are called digital optical modules, DOMs. They're about the size of a basketball. The array embedded in the ice is 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. It is the world's largest telescope And now, because we have proven that it can transmit, it's the world's largest directed energy weapons system. It is responsible for the earthquakes in Christchurch, New Zealand in 2011 on the front end of the year.
So if what Eric is saying is true, then this energy system is probably just scratching the surface of what is really going on in Antarctica.
You mentioned the Illuminati tried recruiting you. What exactly happened there?
It was like Bella Thorne's party and like didn't feel right. And then there was a bunch of rules you had to do to get in the party, like no phone, sign a contract. But then they wanted to prick your blood for you to get in.
So do you believe certain people in Hollywood are kind of selling their souls almost?
I would say people work with the devil for sure, whether they know it or not. Not everybody knows it, but when you use the word like sell your soul, that sounds like you can't never get it back. It's never too late to repent and get back right with God.
How deeper does this weird rabbit hole have to be? Julia Roberts was born on October 28th. Matthew Perry died suspiciously on October 28th. What are the odds that this movie, Leave the World Behind, which is produced by Julia Roberts and the Obamas, which includes scenes from Friends, okay, considering the fact that she had a relationship with Matthew Perry, she was born on the same day that Matthew Perry died, and then what, several months later, this movie just so happens to come out, and all of the symbolism in this movie is so geared to programming, and you have a former president that's helping to produce this, and she dated Matthew Perry, and she's born on the same day Matthew Perry died. Do y'all think this shit is a coincidence? And the cause of his death is still undetermined. So they don't know if there was foul play within it, okay? Okay? When you start to see all the pieces of this really crazy rabbit hole, there's something really odd with this. I mean, the fact of the matter, in the middle of the movie, the children are wearing t-shirts, and when they're standing next to each other, it's telling you to obey a deceiver of all deceivers, okay? He dies on the same day she's born, and they had a relationship together, and they're both now referenced in this movie that both her and the Obamas made. The movie is surrounding the alert that they're sending out. White House and major cities under attack by rogue armed forces. Elevated radiation levels detected near multiple population centers. Like, dude, this whole entire thing is some crazy-ass thing right out of the Twilight Zone, okay? He dies on the same day she's born. They've been in a relationship. It's just, wow. What are your guys' thoughts on that? There's something behind this. There's a plot. There's something that's to become from this, because there's no way that all these things connect in these weird ass ways, and there's no meaning behind it other than it's just a movie. That's why they're programming you through that movie. And you did any of y'all even see the beginning credits where it says that Barack and Michelle Obama are executive producers? Did you even know that? What are the odds of that? He did say that he wanted to be president behind the scenes. What better way than to reach out to the 240 million subscribers on Netflix, right? Come on. Really?
Okay, she talks a lot. Sorry, but for real, what are you guys' thoughts? When is this gonna happen? Do you think it's actually gonna happen? And what are you gonna do? Please.
Whatever you like, this will forever not be weird to me. So the meter that we use today, the modern day meter defined in the 21st century by using the speed of light, is this length. But supposedly the ancient world had no idea, had no concept of this distance or length whatsoever. Right. The petals of the seed of life naturally divide a circle into 6 perfect equal sections. If we were to make the seed of life 1 meter in diameter, the length of the arc of 1/6 of the circumference around that circle equals an Egyptian royal cubit. If we were to create a 12-pointed star, which is how we divide up clocks in the great year, and make it 1 meter in radius, the length of the arc of 1/12 of the circumference of that circle equals an Egyptian royal cubit. Here I have the double Vesica Pisces, and if I were to make it 1 meter in length, this circle is divided naturally into 3 equal sections, and 1/3 of the circumference of that circle equals an Egyptian royal cubit. And before you come in here and tell me that all this is arbitrary and random with no meaning, you really haven't looked into it, and I highly suggest you do.
Has anyone else been experiencing dimension merging lately? Because it's been getting weird around here. So first thing, last week, I'm asleep. My daughter's uncle, who got murdered last year, he shows up in the astral state, right? He rings my doorbell. He walks through my door, like doesn't open it. He just walks straight through the wall, basically. He sits down, he talks to me, we're having a conversation, cool, whatever. I wake up in the morning and I'm telling my husband, like, hey, babe, Rosalind's uncle came to see me last night, right? Like, I was just saying it like it was nothing because he's used to me having conversations with the dad in the astral realm. Like, that's not uncommon for me. So I say, like, it's whatever. And this man's like, oh, is that who rang the doorbell last night? Excuse me? Come again? Because no, that's not. But please elaborate. He's like, yeah, he's like, I heard somebody ring the doorbell and I heard the dogs going off. So I'm just like, strange. Let me talk to the kids. So I tell my 2 girls, I'm explaining to them what happened in my dream last night. And my youngest is like, oh, I heard the doorbell ringing. What? Like, why didn't y'all get up to open it if y'all heard it? Type shit, right? But this happens. And that was last week. That was like the beginning of last week. So maybe 2 or 3 nights ago, I'm sleeping, and in my dream, I see this person that I have not spoken to in years. She and I used to dance together. Super, super cool girl. But I haven't talked to her, seen her, communicated with her at all in like 15 years. She shows up in my dream. I'll spare you all the details of the dream, but the dream was really weird, and she shows up in it. When I get up the next day and I check my Facebook, I get a notification from this girl. So now I'm realizing that this is like dimensions merging and I'm not the only one. So y'all tell me what's up.
This is like CERN. This has CERN written all over it, okay? So these mergings of like realities and stuff, dreams, that has to be CERN. Like, I don't know what else it could possibly be other than CERN. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.
In 2001, an Airbus A300 crashed just shortly after takeoff in New York City, claiming hundreds of lives. Just 2 months after the tragic events of 9/11, an American Airlines A300 was scheduled to fly from JFK to the Dominican Republic, carrying 251 passengers and 9 crew members. At 9:11 a.m., the airliner was cleared for takeoff, but was warned of potential wake turbulence from a Japan Airlines 747 that had taken off right before them. The plane took off and climbed to about 1,700 feet before any issues, at which point they encountered some of that turbulence. This shouldn't have been a big issue, but the first officer's overuse of rudder input after reaching 2,300 feet while trying to stabilize the plane caused the entire vertical stabilizer to break off. The pilots then lost control of the aircraft, and both of the engines also detached from the plane due to excess lateral load as they plummeted towards the ground. No recovery could be made, and just 5 minutes after takeoff, the A300 tragically crashed into a residential neighborhood, killing 260 people on board and 5 individuals on the ground.
Are real. Back in Africa, archaeologists have recently uncovered a 4-foot-long footprint, which is said to be between 400 million and 300 billion years old. Putting this into perspective, this 4-foot-long footprint would have belonged to something at least 27 feet tall. Furthermore, a 38-centimeter finger fossil was found in Egypt, and scientists have said that it would belong to something at least 16 feet tall. There have also been carvings done by prehistoric cavemen that actually depict giants in them. Putting all these with evidence of enlarged bones that have been uncovered by archaeologists, is it possible that
this dude speaks absolute pure gold?
People just walking in front of it like we're not recording.
Hey, it happens. People are people. None of it's intentional. Never attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetence. It's far more likely that they're all in their own worlds, doing their own thing. They're not paying attention to the world around them. And we all do it every day, whether you're driving, walking down the street. All of our lives are just as complex as everybody else's. Everything you have going on, they have going on. Nobody knows what everybody else is going through. Facts. We also need to be a little more self-aware and aware of the world around us.
That was deep.
You gotta look deep to find the deep things. If all you ever do in your life is stay at the surface, you'll never find anything worth exploring.
Are you real?
I try to be.
Are you an AI?
No, not at all.
This is one of the strangest mysteries we've ever seen on the internet. So if you've watched YouTube over the past couple of years, you might remember an account by the name of 2020 Vision. If you were to go to the 2020 Vision YouTube channel, you would see a series of videos with random celebrities listed. Each video featured an eye that would blink, showing a year, a month, and a date. And here's where the videos got creepy. If you look through the videos, they were all celebrities who had passed away in 2020. And with the eye, it would show the exact date that they passed, which honestly doesn't seem like much. But the videos were uploaded all the way back in 2017. And here's an example of what one of the videos looked like. For a time, this took the internet by storm because soon after, even more videos were uploaded that became correct in 2021. But the creator of the account did actually come out and explain everything. Like and follow for part 2.
Thank you, Kansas City. Thank you, Cheesecake.
Preliminary investigative findings have shown there was no nexus to terrorism or homegrown violent extremism.
Thank you so much for watching till the very end. I really appreciate it. It helps the algorithm and my channel, so thank you so much. I hope you guys stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.